did. Okay, so for these ones, we combine what we can and we show it as exponents. So this would be 2 to the second power times 9 to the fourth power. So you're going to do all of these for homework. You can stop the video and do those. And then this write in standard form means you're going to break it apart and say what would it be. The first one would be 5 times 5 times 5. So you're going to do that one. And then the mean, mode, frequency, and median. So to find the mean, you add all of these numbers and then you get a total. And then you divide that total by the number of numbers. So in this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whatever you get for the total of all of these added together divided by 6 would be your answer. That is the mean. It might have a decimal in it, so it may not end on a perfect number. It might be like 62.53 or whatever. Okay, you can use a calculator for this because in 7th grade you can typically use a calculator for more things. They assume that you know how to figure out how to add and divide, so a lot of times they'll let you use a calculator. So for this one you can use a calculator. To find the mode, that is the frequently occurring number. I put frequency, frequently occurring number. So that is putting all of these numbers into order from least to greatest and finding the one that is the most occurring number. The median, you are going to put them in order from least to greatest, and then you're going to cross out the farthest left and the farthest right. Farthest left, farthest right, and you're going to keep going in. So suppose this was a number, 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 this was a number. You're going to cross this one out and cross this one out. Then you're going to cross this one out and cross this one out. You're either going to be left with 1 or 2. If suppose you were just left with 1 like that, this would be your median. If you were left with 2, so say this wasn't here and these were the 2 that you were left with, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you did your crossing out, you would add these 2 together and then you would divide by 2. So that's how you figure out median. Okay, for this one, we have to first get the numbers on one side and the letters on the other. So I choose to keep my letters on this side and I choose to put my numbers over here. So they're subtracting 5 here, so I'm going to first add 5. And then anything I do to one side, I do to the other. This cancels each other out, and what I'm left with is x over -3. And then this is 33. Now they're dividing, so I'm going to multiply, and the negative stays with the 3, so I'm going to multiply by -3. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. 33 times -3 equals -99. Okay, for this one, it's the same exact thing that we're solving for, but instead of having a fraction, we have decimals, and instead of having an equal, we have an inequality, but we still solve it as if it's an equal sign. It's just instead of putting an equal sign, we keep writing this sign as we're solving. So this is attached to the x. So the first thing we're going to do is deal with this number. We're going to try to get it over here. So they're subtracting 5.1. We're going to add 5.1. That's going to clear this out. And then what we're going to do is add 5.1 to this side, because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. It is 15.3. Now what's left on this side is 3.4x. because the number is attached to the letter like this without any space, that means multiplication, so we're going to divide. And anything we do to one side of the equation, we do to the other. And so we're going to cross this out. X is less than, and then we're going to do the 15.3 and the 3.4. Like I said, we can either go ahead and multiply that out, or we can do 15.3 divided by 3.4, and the answer is 4.5. And that's a perfectly fine answer to have. We can end in an x equals, or an x is more than, or an x is less than. It could be a fraction, it could be a whole number, it could be a positive, it could be a negative, or it could be a decimal. This is a perfectly fine answer to have. So it doesn't always end in something that's just a plain old whole number. Now, what this means, instead of having an equal sign, it means that x is smaller than the number 4.5. And we can be asked to graph that. And what that means is we are going to make a number line like this. And we're going to find where 4.5 would be. So 4.5 would be right here. We're going to make a circle at 4.5, and whatever way this is pointing, we're going to create an arrow like this. And that means that it could be all of these numbers to infinity. So it could be -1, -2. It just can't be 4.5. So I'm going to leave this circle open. If my original problem had this sign, which is less than or equal to, so suppose this is what my original problem was, that means that the answer does include 4.5. So instead of leaving this open, we are going to fill it in because 4.5 is one of the answers that it could be. So this one was our number 36, and that problem was a sound studio charges a $52 reservation fee and $26 per hour. Felipe paid a total of $130 to use the sound studio. So we went through the answers earlier and we found that B was the correct answer. 52 was the flat fee plus a fee of $26 times the number of hours that he uses it. And up here it gave us the total, so we can fill that in. And this becomes the problem that we write. Now we're going to see this as a normal old plain or regular algebra problem. They're adding 52, so we subtract 52. What we do on one side of the equation, we do on the other. And so we are going to do 130 minus 52 equals 78. What's left on this side is 26h. They're multiplying, so we divide, and then anything we do to one side of the equation, we do to the other, so we divide by 26. This cancels each other out. H equals 3. Okay, we have number 37. To make a bead it necklace, Jamie bought a bag containing 24 silver beads, so I wrote that here, and 3 bags of colored beads, so I wrote 3 bags colored. Each bag of colored beads contained the same number of beads. Jamie bought a total of 78, so I wrote that down. How many beads were in each bag of colored beads? And then they give you some numbers. But to solve that, we need to set up the problem. So I said, I'm going to say B is the number of bags because this is what we're solving for. They asked me how many beads were in each of these bags. So I just randomly picked B. I could have picked any letter that I wanted. So 3B is what this is, plus 24. And we know that 24 is the original amount that they started with. So we don't have to attach a letter to that because they're saying that's a solid fixed number. We already know that they started. So here is the bag and 24 beads were already in there. Since we know that number's not changing, pretend like that's 24, we can just go ahead and put it as a constant in our problem. And then the total number was 78. So we're trying to find out what this was, and it was divided into 3 bags. Here's bag 1, here's bag 2, and bag 3. So we know that it was 3 bags. We just don't know how many individual beads were in here. So I set it up as 3B plus 24 equals 78. We're going to solve this as a normal algebra problem. They're adding 24, so I subtract 24. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. I subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4. 7 minus 2 is 5. Then what I have left after that is 3B. So I'm going to take my calculator and I am going to do 54 divided by 3 equals 18. B equals 18. So that means there was 18 beads in this bag, 18 beads in this bag, and 18 beads in this bag. And then we started with the 24 beads here. If we added these all together, it would equal 78. So let's check our answer. 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 24. Yes, we got the right answer. All right, so I could do 7th grade math. Woo! We got the right answer.